Wuxia? What even is Wuxia? That was a question I had going into Where Winds Meet, and before you even Google it, let me tell you right now. Wuxia is a Chinese genre of fiction and film about martial arts in ancient China, literally translating the martial arts and chivalry. It features martial artists who achieve extraordinary abilities through training and can incorporate themes of honor, loyalty, revenge, and romance, often set against a historical backdrop. If you've watched Dragon Ball or know anything about Journey to the West, you already have a taste of wuxia. And if the success of other video games under the genre like Black Myth Wukong are an indicator, you already have an inkling of what to expect. Before even going into the meat and bones of this game, or at least a glimpse of what it tastes like, an apology is due. I was expecting pretty Genshin Impact or to be bored the same way I felt playing Infinity Nikki, but I was admittedly wrong. Think about it a bit. Oftentimes, international games outside of Japanese titles with a global release would fail because the rest of the world isn't the demographic. Sure, there are some niche fans here and there, but not every game is Uma Musume. Where Winds Meet is not the Genshin-like, but it plays like an MMO version of Black Myth Wukong. If you enjoyed that title, or Sekiro for that matter, or even adventure games in general, you'll enjoy this game. The visuals help in that regard too, the vibes felt. Whether it be exploring or fighting, and it gets even better once you set your graphics even higher. You open up the game and you'd be surprised with the cinematic experience that'll greet you. Initially, you start out as Jiang Yan, the character carrying the baby on the game's login who, spoiler alert, is you. Why he's on the run, you find out the longer you play the game, but that's besides the point. Right off the bat, you get brought to a boss arena similar to those in Souls-likes, and the combat tutorial feels like a mix between Sekiro and Elden Ring, complete with a chi system in lieu of stamina and all the works, complete with a parry system, blocking, and skills. You'd think that'd be the entire gameplay loop, but as you unlock skills from scratch, the world doesn't feel as scary with so much freedom in how you can move and interact. It's an open world and there's so much to explore, and you don't need a party to come along with you to have a good time. There are world puzzles that need solving and a variety of ways to solve them. The biggest aspect of Where Winds Meet that I'll applaud is the combat. As somebody that enjoys the combat of a fast Souls-like or Sekiro, I had myself glued to my seat fighting an overworld boss in the Shadow Puppeteer. Sure, I could have stayed on track and done the main story, but wandering around, the freedom to get lost is what makes experiences like these special. Everyone can talk about the main plot, but misadventures, that's where the fun really is. Later on, the weapon variety gets expanded on, and if the sword isn't to your liking, there are a variety of options available, like the combat umbrella that feels more magical than anything else, with ranged attacks aplenty, and even a healing weapon with fans. You even keep a bow all throughout for the crafty and patient gamer that'd much rather go sniping than get down and dirty. And boy, is it fun to blow explosives up with your fire arrows. Combat aside, overworld exploration was also pretty fun, and that's not just the dungeon exploration talking, but the entire exploration aspect of the game. An enemy on top of a building, you can climb that. A river in front of you, you can swim and eventually dive. That adorable cat, you could pet, and yes, you can pet cats, you could go to them in a heartbeat. Apparently, you could wall run and even glide in the sky the longer you play the game too, but I got lost exploring the side missions that I only found out about these things after my session. A big empty space is nothing without a voice, and the denizens of Where Winds Meet surprised me in a good way. These aren't just your monotonous single dialogue NPCs, but characters that bear a grudge. If there was a time to actually read the dialogue instead of skipping like with most of the MMOs I've ever played, this is it. Ever wanted a hater? What about an entire village? In this world where martial arts are the norm, I think I'd rather not. So far, the only gripe I've had with Where Winds Meet was its spacing and navigation. Cool, there's a minimap that you could follow, but it doesn't make sense. There's no way to have an arrow or guiding wisp or whatever to lead you to the right destination, and you're free to go however you'd like. But it could have helped earlier on. A better tutorial could have been in place too on how you can get around, but really, if you're playing this game, you'll learn it one way or another. storytelling is rich with lore and exposition as well, but taking 4 hours to reach a different city is a different experience altogether. And that's not exploration, but talking to the right NPCs. You can skip dialogue too, but with the type of game that this is, where you could literally chat with the NPCs and miss out on context clues due to reading fatigue, you should actually take notes. While it may seem like a bit of a rant, remember this is an MMO and a grindy one at that. But just because the plot is too long doesn't mean the action and whatever else inside it isn't fun. Between being free to play and genuinely accessible to the point where all money gets is cosmetics like with League of Legends, it's definitely worth a try. While I wasn't able to touch on it earlier, the customization option could have you hours on end, and while fighting isn't for everyone, you could literally lower the game's difficulty for combat. There was this point in the game where I found an NPC in the wilderness only to have a rhythm game out of nowhere. And in the town thereafter, there was another minigame waiting. So if storytelling isn't your fancy, there's still a lot to do. It gets even better the nicer your setup is, and while I do worry about PC players with lower specs, the fact that it has a mobile port down the line is telling of its possible optimization too. At Enduins Level 1, we'd give an ELO verdict based on the game's difficulty. And after all that said and done, Where Winds Meet gets a low ELO verdict. Not to say it isn't difficult, but because all the accessibility options, including difficulty control and the heavier emphasis on plot and exploration, this is the type of game that anyone could get into. The only reason you wouldn't want to try it is if it weren't your preference, and that's alright. Wuxia gamers are eating well with Where Winds Meet, and between subverting my expectations and the hours of fun, gamers are in for a great time. There's so much content packed in this F2P adventure that it kinda makes sense how this could be a gamer's main game and nothing else. Accessibility plays a big part in this too, and at this point, I see myself playing this on my personal time. Where do the winds meet? Probably with me and my friends going on an adventure. Because while a single player experience is fun, getting to wail on a shadow puppeteer with the bros sounds amazing.